Alright, well, here's the video I promised on how I've gotten so far into my diorama. And I guess we'll start with the marine. Basically, what happened was I was taking the marine off the sprue, and I happened to just set the legs down on the mat, and they stood up, and it just kind of looked like he was leaning against something. So that's what spurred the idea for the diorama. Basically, it's a biker that's been busy doing whatever bikers do, and he's just kind of taking a momentary break, get his thoughts together and whatnot. You know, get a chance to get off the bike and avoid getting monkey butt. So anyways, what I had to do though is that the legs on the model were, of course, they were spread out. Both these legs here were spread out a little wider than what I liked. So what I had to do was a little bit of surgery. That's the original hip and groin area of the rear, and then I took my only spare pair of marine legs and sawed those off. So what I did is I used the hip from a regular tactical marine, and then I kept with the legs of the rider, but then I had to shave them down a little bit so I got the stance a little bit closer together. And then I was debating on whether I wanted him leaning on the bike or what, and then I found my these resin tree trunks that I had. I built scale models, military models, so it's not going to show up too well here. Let's see. There we go. And these are actually 35th scale or 54 millimeter tree trunks, but they're large enough. I thought they fit with the scale of the Marines. And here's the other one. I originally was going to go with a wall, but the wall just seemed a little bit too large. It took up too much room on the base. So I wanted to limit the size of the diorama. That's why I went with this smaller what do you call these things? The stand or base or whatever. So anyways, what I came up with was that I was going to have him kind of sitting on that tree stump, relaxed, and having his arm resting on the handlebar of the bike. Well, it was a little bit too stiff, so what I did is I took and I sawed off the hand, and then I put a pin. You can just barely make out the pin in there. I pinned his hand in there, and then I bent it to what I thought was a little bit more of a relaxed, so it's like his wrist is resting on the handlebars. And then this phone's going to start acting up now. Come on, get in focus. There we go. I also what I did is I closed his hand up. Actually, I was going to try and separate the fingers because my sculpting skills are basically non-existent, but that didn't work. So what I did is I cut a little groove in the back of his palm, right where the knuckles are for the fingers, and then I pushed them down carefully, and it actually split right up there. You can see where the fingers meet the back of the hand. So I took a little bit of glue and just glued it across there, and it allowed them to fold down pretty good. So it's kind of a little bit more relaxed on his hand type of deal. And then of course I'm going with that head, but other than that, everything else is standard. I had to, you can see where I've angled the shoulder on this side, so it brought the chainsaw, the chain sword, in a little bit closer to his body, and he's kind of relaxed, but you know, always in a ready state. So that's basically all I've gotten done on the Marine. Now what I have to do is I have to fill in the wrist and a little bit around the hand, and then the back of the shoulder here. So he's pretty much complete. The shoulder, I do the shoulder pads separate from him. The bike was the big one. What I did, as you can see, is I had to basically I had to make it so I could turn the front wheels. It just didn't look right with it being straight. I wanted it to have, even though it was sitting still, I still wanted a little, sorry about that, a little bit of movement to the bike. So I had to figure out where it would turn at, because the way it was designed, it's like the frame went right into the front part here, and I couldn't find a pivot point. So what I figured is that underneath the radar screen was about the most logical point. So what I did is I took I have a I don't know what you call it, a bandsaw type of deal, hand bandsaw type of deal. It's a real thin blade, and I cut it all the way around here, cut all that out, and then I cut out all around the back here. I cut all that out, so I still have to fill the holes in there. And then I drilled a hole here underneath the radar and super glued a pin in there. And what that allows me to do, and again I'm going to have to do this one-handed, so what that allows me to do is basically put it on there, and here we go. The front wheel will actually turn, so we can get a little bit of movement. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Is basically it's going to be setting up so it's kind of turned. And then, like I said, I built scale World War II tanks. So there's these are smoke grenade launchers from a 35th scale Tiger tank. I threw those on the front, thinking that those would be kind of like frag grenades or crack grenades they could launch as they're going. I added a bolt pistol to the gas tank, thinking that if something happened with his chain sword, he'd have a second, he'd have his secondary weapons. And then I threw some ammo pads on the back fenders, and from the Scout Storm, Landspeeder Storm, I took a rolled up tarp and threw it on the back there just to fill in that space. And then the biggest part was extending the exhaust. I wanted it to be a little bit more aggressive looking. So I got some, went out and bought some tubing, and basically it actually was a little bigger than what I wanted to use, but I'd gotten it, and my funds are limited, so I didn't want to go out and get anything else. So I drilled out the back of it and added these in. It's a little rough, but I plan on adding some weathering to that, so they'll be rusted out and that, so the rough part along where they meet on the fenders here, the exhaust here to the new exhaust, won't be as noticeable. It doesn't look too bad, but there's a couple of spots in there that the glue kind of messed up on it. So that's the bike, and you've already seen the tree trunk. So what I've done is I've basically laid it all out, and then I put in the pins on the bottom on the wheels and whatnot, so they would have a once I get the diorama done, it would it would be able to mount on there pretty permanently. So watch, it won't go in. There we go. But that's basically the setup is something along this lines here. Second here, get that in there. Okay, so and then I kind of threw a pin in his butt. I'm sure he didn't appreciate that. And then drilled a hole in the stump so that I could mount him up, and I knew exactly what part of the stump he was going to be on. So that's the final layout. As you can see, kind of just taking a break, getting his thoughts together and whatnot, getting ready for the next battle. I think what I'm going to do is have him found, like where the bike is going to be an animal trail type of deal, a real small track that he was traveling on and just decided to take a break, and there's some old trees that have been either felled or battle damage type of deal. But so I'll have some ground cover all around on the corners around him, and then the center part's going to be basically earth, and then maybe a little rivulet where, you know, when it rains type thing. So we'll see as we go along. That's excuse me, that's something to work out as we go. So that's as far as I've gotten right now. Get kind of an overhead view of it. So yeah, I kind of like the layout. There's a little bit of dead space up in here, but I'm thinking about filling that in with maybe a bush or something. And as you can see, you know, it's basically it looks pretty good from any angle. So I got lucky with that layout. So we'll go at it from there, and I'll take it to unfortunately I can't do it as I'm doing it. I don't have a camera. I'm using my phone, so I have to hold it. So as I go through each step, I'll do an update video. So you're up to as far as I've gotten. I'll start working on it, and I'll be putting out a video probably every couple of days as I work on this, and then I'll be explaining what I'm doing as I go along. So let me know what you think. It's turning out all right, and then I appreciate you viewing, and like it if you like, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.